If the fence rests, let's lay it down. Gonna dig deep, wave that verdict round. The defense rests, time to analyze. With the evidence, we'll unveil the crime. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.
Good morning. Good morning. How are we? I feel like my camera's really, really close. Well, busy morning. Well, day, evening, week. Now, this trial, the Socialite trial with the heart attack, arrhythmia, dysrhythmia, whatever they want to call it, starts today. So I get on to the site and set it all up, and then notice that it's written as day 2. So that's why I'm late, because I've been searching for day 1, but there isn't a day 1. Oh, look at the cat dragon. Good morning. Wakey. Well, you're just in time because we're starting a new one today. And this one, I think, well, it's right up my alley, mainly because it's to do with the heart, and that's my favourite specialty. We're also on verdict watch for the Cochrane trial. Good morning. I was just saying that I had this all set up earlier, and primed, ready to go. And I just happened to look down on the bottom. It said day 2, and I'm like, that's a bit funny. So I've been sitting here for the last 10 minutes trying to find day 1 on different sites, but the only thing, luckily, I've saved the opening statements and the daughter's testimony. I had them there ready, so hopefully that was only what was day 1. Maybe they started half day yesterday, I don't know, but that's all I can find. And then we have to go into day 2. So I've got the opening statements ready to go. Now, this is a bench trial, no jury. So the defendant is Penelope McGee. She apparently was in an altercation with her husband, which she slapped him, I think, or something. Pushed him, and he fell and never got up. I'm assuming it says he had a heart dysrhythmia. Now, I don't understand the wording of that, because a dysrhythmia you can treat, an arrhythmia you can treat, unless it's ventricular tachycardia, which you can still treat if you're quick, but that's also a heart attack. So I'm interested to see what the ME has to say about what his normal heart rhythm was, whether he was in AF, like atrial fibrillation, or he had some underlying heart condition that caused him to have an irregular heart rate prior to that, and the attack triggered it, because otherwise I don't know what they're on about. So it's interesting for me. But the defendant is, as I said, it's a bench trial, so it's in Massachusetts, and it's Judge Bev. Okay, so this will be interesting. Now, the defendant is claiming self-defense, but the daughter, the 18-year-old daughter, overheard the argument or witnessed it. and she will be testifying against her mother today. So we are all alive. We are. It's lovely to see you, Elizabeth. Welcome. And then we also, everything popped up this morning when I woke up. We have the sleep stream, which is the Florida case with Colin Griffith, who unalived his dad 12 months ago with a shot to the chest and the head, and the state dropped the charges. Then he was Baker acted, I think, at least twice in the meantime, and threatened to unalive his mother at least twice in that time. And then apparently they had an argument, and she fell on a knife in her neck. So now they're actually thinking of reopening the father's death because he was never tried for that. So he's 17 years old. It's shit. So I don't think this McGee, given a bench trial, I don't think it will go for too long. Because I'm going to lead into the following podcast. Like, we've got this podcast this Saturday, which is the Ghost Gun episode. And then the following one is we're going to deep dive into this Naziah Harris case in Detroit, the 11-year-old. So once this McGee one is finished, I only saw it last night and went, ooh, got to watch that. Once this is done, we'll switch to the Naziah trial during the day, and we'll continue with the other one until that finishes, the Griffith one, and then we shall find us another. All right? Sound good? I reckon so. Let's get into it, shall we? That one, I think I'll go with the Red Window. No, that's too small. I think it's that one. We'll see. All right. If I'm covering the words too much, actually, I might be able to move that. Oh, excuse. I'll move. How's that? Is that better? Then you can at least see what is being written. There we go. Look at me go. All right.
On January 28th of 2020, 5 years ago today, the Savitz family lost a beloved brother and father, Andrew Savitz. Throughout the course of this trial, you are going to hear that Mr. Savitz passed away after an altercation with his ex-wife, the defendant before you today, Penelope McGee. You are going to hear throughout this trial that Mr. Savitz was in quite ill health, having suffered a stroke, been in 2 car accidents. He had diabetes and was experiencing memory loss and trouble with his peripheral vision.
Right.
But most notably, Your Honor, Mr. Savitz suffered from severe cardiovascular disease, including a 90% stenosis of the right coronary artery.
He had a heart attack.
You will learn about Mr. Savitz through his brother John, or about Mr. Savitz's medical condition through his brother John Savitz. 4 sets of medical records that Your Honor will have a chance.
If they know he's got 90% occlusion of his right coronary artery and they haven't done anything about it, he's a ticking time bomb. So how the fuck did she get charged with that? Really?
To review, including Beth Israel records from the auto accident, the Jocelyn Diabetes Center, his treatment at Mass Ioneer and the Newton Wellesley Hospital, as well as you will hear about his condition from the medical examiner that performed the autopsy, Dr. Rebecca Diedrich. You will also hear from Andrew Savitz's brother, John Savitz, that Ms. McGee was aware of all of these conditions and the ill health of Mr. Andrew Savitz on the date of this incident. You will see emails and text messages to John Savitz from Penelope McGee, updating him on Andy's various conditions, medical conditions, medications, and medical appointments. You'll also hear that Ms. McGee was the healthcare proxy to Mr. Andrew Savitz. Then you're going to hear from Andrew Savitz's daughter, Zuzi Savitz. She's going to tell you what she saw happen that night on January 28th of 2020. Zuzi heard her mother come over to the home at 40 Meadowbrook Road in Brookline, where she was living with her father and her younger brother, Harry. Zuzi Savitz heard her parents arguing that night when her mother came to the house, and she could hear yelling and screaming. And when she went downstairs, she could see that her parents were in an argument. She heard something break, which we later found out, the court will find out, was a ceramic bowl. You'll see pictures of that broken bowl. But Zuzi's going to tell you she heard something break, and she went back upstairs to get her phone to call 911. She's going to tell you that she got her phone from her bedroom, called 911, and as she was coming down the stairs, she could see her parents in the hallway by the end of the stairs at the house towards the front door, and she saw her mother hitting and shoving her father against a wall where there was a sliding closet. And you're going to hear the 911 call, Your Honor. You're going to hear Zuzi telling her parents to stop. And then in the middle of that phone call, Zuzi's going to tell you she heard she saw her father collapse to the ground. And Ms. McGee started trying to give him CPR. Zuzi was calling the ambulance to come quickly. The paramedics arrived. The Brookline police arrived. You're going to hear from the paramedic. You're going to hear from the responding officer from the Brookline police, all of whom tried to administer CPR and tried to resuscitate Mr. Savitz. Mr. Savitz was brought to the Beth Israel Hospital, where you're going to hear from the emergency room doctor that also treated him and tried to revive him, and ultimately pronounced him deceased at 12:14 a.m. In the early morning hours of January 29th of 2020. Lastly, Your Honor, you are going to hear from the medical examiner, Dr. Rebecca Diedrich. Dr. Diedrich is going to explain to you how Mr. Savitz's conditions prevented his heart from handling the fight or flight response that was happening during the altercation with Ms. McGee. Dr. Diedrich going to tell you her opinion as to what the official cause of death was of Mr. Andrew Savitz. She's going to explain that her opinion is that he suffered from cardiac dysrhythmia following an altercation in a person with hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease and diabetes mellitus. Andrew Savitz was in ill health. His diabetes and cardiovascular disease was severe, and Penelope McGee knew it. Despite Mr. Savitz's condition, Ms. McGee went over to his house on the night of January 28, 2020. She was yelling and screaming, hitting and shoving him. His heart couldn't handle the stress of the altercation, and he collapsed and passed away. After you hear all of this evidence, Your Honor, I am confident that you will find Penelope McGee guilty as charged.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that was the state's open. You're going to see these a lot briefer than we would in a jury trial, right? Because this is a bench trial. Judge Cannone is familiar with these facts, right? She's got the court file. She knows what this case is about. Now she's going to hear from the defense in a couple of minutes. We're going to hit our break. When we come back, we'll go back in together live.
1 second.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's go back into the courtroom in Massachusetts, Judge Beverly Cannone's courtroom, that is. We're having a bench trial here. The crime of manslaughter is what the Commonwealth is accusing this defendant of doing. Now it's time to hear from her defense attorney.
The evidence will show that Ms. McGee was married to the deceased for approximately 15 years, and they divorced about 6 years before this incident. That nonetheless, the evidence will show that they continued to work together to raise 3 children. get their children into college. They talked frequently, almost daily sometimes. At some point, Ms. McGee moved into a home that was owned by the brother-in-laws of the deceased. It was in Brookline. It was close by. It was close by the medical home where Mr. Savitz also resided. She lived there in Randolph with her 3 children. At some point, the brother-in-laws chose to evict her. They did so. That eviction was formalized on January 3rd, 2020. During that same time, the days leading up to January 3rd, you'll hear evidence that both Mr. Savitz and Ms. McGee worked continually together as they sought to get their daughter Susie in college. They talked frequently. She ran errands for him, he ran errands for her. At that time, January 3rd, 2020, he was working, he was traveling, he was enjoying his life. One of his things he liked to do was gambling. He did that. He was functioning. He also texted, and the evidence will show that he invited Ms. McGee to reside at Meadowbrook while she looked for other housing. But there was an issue. The evidence will show that there was a significant issue of the relationship that had deteriorated between Ms. McGee and her daughter. So there was an arrangement. She could not appear at Meadowbrook unless her daughter was up in her room and in bed, maybe studying. And they both abided. Backing up a little bit, you'll hear that around August 18th of 2019, Mr. Savitz told his ex-wife he'd been in a car accident, a serious one. The car was totaled. He went to the hospital. Medical records that will be introduced into evidence will show that he didn't listen to medical advice. And in fact, in the words of the hospital records, he eloped. He left. Ms. McGee found out about it, talked to her ex-husband, got him an immediate appointment at his personal care physician, Dr. Mann. Got him to see Dr. Mann within a day. Dr. Mann said, I think he has some problems or words to that effect that are contained in the medical records, and recommended that Mr. Savitz go to the emergency room because of cognitive issues and a question of whether he would suffer a stroke. They did that. Who did that? Ms. McGee. She took him immediately to the emergency room. Any question about whether Ms. McGee knew about certain medical conditions of Mr. Savitz is somewhat beside the point, because the evidence will show that she cared for him for days and weeks following the car accident and the diagnosis of stroke. She moves in. She's allowed to stay in Middleburg. She's allowed to stay in her older son's bedroom upstairs with that condition that the evidence will show. Her older son, Noah, had now left home to go to college at Drexel in Pennsylvania. On January 20th, Mr. Savitz was in yet another car accident, this time while he was driving their younger son, Harry. He reported it to his brother-in-laws, and the evidence will show that Ms. McGee was worried about that, concerned about that. Notwithstanding that they totaled in the accident, Mr. Savitz totaled his son Noah's car, but the fact that Harry was in the car, the youngest. And so she had a discussion, and there will be evidence of it. Importantly, though, the evidence will show that with regards to the causation and manner of death, as the Commonwealth just told the court it expects to introduce, the relevant literature says that the physiological issue that Dr. Diedrich will testify to can occur as a result of motor vehicle accidents. Because it's the way the body responds hormonally to the stress associated with such an event. So there is a car accident, a serious one in August, where a car is totaled, but there is no car attack. There is no cardiac arrest. There's a second motor vehicle accident in January 20th. There is no cardiac event. Why is that important? Because when you look at the hundreds, if not thousands of pages of records that are already introduced or we agreed to introduce them in total, you won't see one reference in hundreds of pages of any complaints about chest pain.
That doesn't mean that it didn't happen, you dickhead.
Any diagnosis of cardiac issues other than
90% occlusion? Really?
sometimes referred to as hypertension. That's
Uh-huh.
it. No medication,
What a crop.
no complaints from Mr. Savitz about anything wrong with his heart,
Sorry.
other than high blood pressure.
That's a man thing.
Why is all this important? Because the evidence will show that Mrs. McGee cared for Mr. Savitz and got him back into good health and then interacted with him as if he was in good health. And she took pains to make sure he was in good health. And so it contradicts what the evidence the Commonwealth presumes to admit and presumes to state, that she conducted herself that night on January 28th of 2020 with a disregard for the likelihood that her conduct would result in substantial harm. What happened that night? Text messages show that about 7:30 on January 28th, there was a communication between Mr. Savitz and Ms. McGee. He said, I'm paraphrasing now, but the evidence will show that he said, I expect you to come over. Would you take your shoes off when you climb up the stairs? And that was all part of that arrangement where Ms. McGee could stay up in Noah's room as long as Susie was not, the daughter, was not in her bed. Because there was this friction. And also during the day, the text messages will show that Mr. Savitz made some very upsetting and disparaging remarks to Ms. McGee as he rehashed the eviction. And it upset her. But it was just more of the same, and they worked through this before, as the text messages show. And so she drove over there, parked her car, went in to see if Susie was upstairs before she could go inside, and she was upstairs. The evidence would show that Mr. Savitz then asked Ms. McGee, sit down on the living room couch, watch TV. They started to do that. They had some conversations about some behavioral issues with Susie. And that's when Mr. Savitz began to become upset. The evidence will show that then the conversation turned to this text where Mr. Savitz had somewhat ridiculed Ms. McGee about the eviction from Randolph Street. And that is when he told Ms. McGee to get out of the house. And he raised his voice. And he demanded that she leave. And Miss McGee got up from the living room couch, was headed to her coat, was laid over the back of the couch back. And before she could reach it, Mr. Savitz grabbed her at some point on her body and pushed her into the living room wall that you'll see in so many of the photographs. Then what ensued after that was a yelling match where Mr. Savitz demanded she leave and began to push her into the kitchen area, pushed her against some tables that contained, as the photograph showed, any number of dishes. And one such dish fell over and apparently smashed onto the floor. And he continued to push her. And he continued to grab her. And the path that he was making was a path directly to the front door. And now he was grabbing her hair. And he pushed her against the refrigerator. He pushed her into the area of the stove. All of which, as he was pushing her toward the front door. And now he had a hold of her body, he had a hold of her hair, and he was simply trying to get her out of the house, and she was moving backwards, not understanding what was happening. All of this happening in a short period of time, with yelling and chaos. And as she tried to defend herself, and only defend herself, Mr. Savitz collapsed. Where does he collapse? He collapsed right near the front door. The front door that he was pushing and fighting Miss McGee. He collapsed. He fell to the ground. And what did Miss McGee do? The evidence will show part of it coming from the 911 call made by her daughter.
Oh boy, so he's saying this is a self-defense case, that she was defending herself. Oh boy, more to come in the defense opening statement here. We're going to hit a break. We'll be right back live after this.
Grieving widow or mastermind behind a murder.
Monica Cimentelli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Famed celebrity
Fabio.
hairstylist Fabio Cimentelli.
Prosecutors say she and her lover killed Fabio to collect a big life insurance policy.
The defense may say she's a bad woman, but she wouldn't be involved in a murder.
It's a whodunit Hollywood story, but will there be a twist that no one sees?
The Celebrity Stylist Murder Trial, today, only on Court TV.
Celebrity stylist.
Back to court we go in Massachusetts. The defense team delivering opening statements in the Socialite Manslaughter Trial.
Changed the findings. And as a result of that, the allegations against that particular person charged with the death of Aston True was, in the parlance of legal terms, no cause. They ended the prosecution. This is the same medical examiner that made her conclusions in this case. The evidence will show that relevant literature that tried to address this so-called phenomena referred to as homicide by heart attack, that starting in 1978 required strict criteria to be applied by medical examiners in trying to reach the same conclusion that Dr. Diedrich reached. And then there is a 2002 guide for medical examiners that the evidence will show that is the only thing that Dr. Diedrich apparently relied on, that tells medical examiners really nothing at all. And then you'll hear evidence that the relevant literature, published 2 years later in 2004, authored by Dr. Turner, revisits the strict criteria to be applied in these so-called homicide by heart attack cases where there is a physical touch. And one of their criteria is to determine the intent of the actor, that what the actor did to cause the harm was criminal. That's what the evidence was showing. And yet, the evidence will show that this case is about self-defense, being attacked. The relevant literature will also talk about the stress reaction occurring, as I stated a minute ago, motor vehicle accidents, but also anger on behalf of the deceased in situations. Anger triggers the same physiological response that Dr. Diedrich talks about, that she rests on finding her opinion and making a homicide finding. Respectfully, Judge, we believe that once you consider all of the evidence and all the testimony, that based on the science and based on the lack of reliable assessments made by Dr. D, that you will find Ms. McGee not guilty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Right. After all that, I tried to get. It makes it so busy, that screen. It's. Anywho, all right. I have the daughter's testimony.
Read fame. She's
And now I have to readjust. Don't mind me. Is this Court TV or can't remember? All right. See how that goes.
She's in the same, they're all in the same courtroom as the Karen Reed case, Fan included. She's going to decide whether McGee's guilty or not of manslaughter. Prosecutors say that McGee knew her husband, ex-husband, Andrew, had cardiac issues when she got into an argument with him at his house. So now she's charged with manslaughter. Next witness, this is a big one. Susie Savitz. This is the daughter of the victim and the defendant. She was there. This case may ride on what she has to say. Let's watch.
And who did you live there with?
My dad and my brother Harry.
And specifically on January 28th of 2020, how old were you?
18.
And what grade were you in school?
12th grade.
What is your mother's name?
Penelope and McGee.
And in January of 2020, where was your mother living?
I'm not sure.
Did you live with her in the month of January?
No, I did not.
Now, drawing your attention specifically to January 28th of 2020, at some point during that day, did your mother come over to 40 Meadowbrook Road in Brookline?
Yes.
And do you know what time of day that was?
At night.
And can you tell the court what happened on January 28th of 2020 when your mother came to Meadowbrook Road in Brookline?
I was in my room, and it was a school night, and I heard yelling from downstairs.
And who did you hear yelling?
Wait for it. Wait for
At
it.
first I thought it was
Who
my
the hell?
dad and my brother Harry.
Who the hell?
And what did you do when you heard the yelling?
I went downstairs to see what was going on.
And what did you see when you got downstairs?
That it was Penelope and my dad.
And when you first saw them, where were they standing?
In the kitchen.
And what were they doing in the kitchen?
Yelling, fighting.
And where within the kitchen were they standing when you first saw them?
Towards the front hallway.
Did you hear what they were yelling about?
No, not exactly.
And how would you describe your mother's tone of voice at that time?
She sounded very upset and angry.
And what about your father?
He seemed more distressed.
Did you hear that back noise?
And once you saw that they were in the kitchen and that it was your mother and your father, what did you do?
At first I tried to intervene and tell them to stop.
And did they stop when you said that?
No.
And how long did it go on that you were standing in the kitchen watching them fighting?
Maybe 5 minutes.
And then what did you do?
I went upstairs to get my phone.
And where was your phone?
In my bedroom.
And where was your brother Harry?
He was in his room.
Did you see your brother Harry?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, I went to his room.
And what did you do?
I told him to stay in his room and to not come downstairs.
And when you grabbed your phone, what did you do?
I first texted and called my brother, Noah.
And after you did that, what did you do?
I started walking towards the stairs and dialed 911.
And were you connected to 911?
Yes.
And as you were connected to 911, what happened?
I went down the stairs and I told them that there was a domestic dispute happening. And by the time I came down the stairs, Penelope and my dad were in the front hallway.
Penelope.
And how close is that in relation
She doesn't
to the
call her
stairs?
mum.
It's right there.
And what did you see them doing in the front hallway?
Screaming, yelling, and my dad's back was pushed against the closet.
And what?
Judge, if I may intervene something.
Yes.
Oh, so it's an ex-husband. Okay. So.
All right, sidebar, quick break. We'll get more from the daughter on the stand. Stay with us. Welcome back to Court TV Live. Busy day here.
Oh, shit.
Did you live with her?
Penelope McGee. We're also.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to put the things together because it's a bit higgledy-piggledy getting bits and pieces. So, obviously, the daughter lived with the father, Andrew. And it was her ex-husband. And so she's invited him over to his house. And there must be some kind of issues between the mum and the daughter. She sounds like she's a spoilt little brat, to be honest. That's just my opinion, but we'll see from there. And not calling her mum, like, really? I don't know what's gone down between the two of them, but yeah. Yeah, just trying to set the scene. It's... All right, let's keep going with her.
So still in West Virginia, where the state is presenting a rebuttal case. And if you want to watch this game, this is the Ponzi scheme.
Go away.
Any other way?
Yeah, his face.
And how did his hands touch her face? What was she doing?
Yeah, but she's not even calling her mum.
How many times?
I don't think there's any love lost there.
Once.
And where were they standing?
Look at the frown.
When the shoving and the slapping occurred?
In the front hallway.
And what was your father doing when your mother was shoving and slapping?
Asking her to leave. And he had his hands up, kind of in defense.
Oh, really? Look at the face. The death stare. Ooh. Ooh.
Can you describe...
That doesn't look like that doesn't resemble the photo.
What was the tone of their voices while you were watching this?
I don't think she did. He had a heart attack. Stress-induced. It was a time bomb. And
Penelope sounded
innocent
very erratic.
until proven guilty.
And were you on the phone with 911 when you were observing this?
Yes.
And how did the pushing and the slapping end?
My father collapsed.
Big end.
And where did he collapse?
Onto the floor in the front hallway.
And what did you do once that happened?
Yeah, she may well.
I started screaming and I told 911 to send an ambulance.
And what was your mother doing once your father collapsed?
I don't remember exactly in the moment. She was just standing there.
And once he was on the ground, what did she do, if anything?
She just kind of stood there.
And how long do you think it took for 911 to arrive, for the paramedics to arrive?
I'm not sure exactly about the paramedics, but it took the police about 5 or 6 minutes to arrive.
And during that time period, what did your mother do?
At first, I kept begging her to give him CPR, and she insisted that he didn't need it.
Did she give him CPR?
Yes, eventually.
How would you describe your mother's behavior that night, from the time that she arrived at the home to when your father collapsed?
Frantic, erratic, angry.
Ms. Savitz, I'm going to play exhibit number 1.
Okay, Penelope, what do we think here? So, daughter says, yes, gave CPR, but only after I urged mom to do it. What's your takeaway watching now, this is just direct, of the daughter on the stand?
Well, first of all, there's no evidence that mom knew he was even having a cardiac event. Is there even evidence that she knew of his medical history? If she had knowledge that he had a heart condition, that he was prone to
She did.
Okay, so even assuming that's correct, I'm not even sure she knew in the moment that it was in fact a heart attack. Just because somebody falls, it could have been a stroke. It could have been a dizzy spell. It could have been the onset of a seizure. She's not a paramedic. She's not an RN. She's not a doctor. But in the end, she did administer CPR. So it's not as if she just stood there and laughed or maybe gave him a control shot or a coup de grace to finally finish him off. She just stood there. And at the end of the day, we're not really talking about a fatal blow. We're talking about an argument, some screaming going on. That's most marriages. Could you imagine, Ted, you get into an argument, you yell at your wife,
and then
she
you get
collapses
charged
and survives,
with
and now
murder?
you're on trial for attempted murder? Where would it end? You know, she takes a stand and testifies against you. He yelled at me knowing good and well that I have clogged arteries. It's ridiculous.
Get your arteries
At this point,
fixed.
I truly believe it's overfiled.
And from the daughter's perspective, you could, it had to be shocking, heartbreaking, and I could see her having the causative effect in her mind, young woman thinking, oh, if mom wouldn't have yelled at dad, he'd still be alive. But I think you're right that this is a stretch to think that mom went over there.
Yes.
I know what I'll do. I'll yell at him and he'll croak from a heart attack, and that'll solve all our problems. Yeah.
No.
All right, we need a break. We'll get you back. We're going to watch more of this fascinating direct examination, including the 911 call that's going to be played for the judge right after this.
Grieving widow or mastermind behind a murder.
Monica Cementilli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Famed celebrity hairstylist Penelope McGee is accused of causing the death of her ex-husband, Andrew Savitz. McGee has opted for a bench trial, meaning a judge.
I think there might have been a push.
Karen Reed is going to
push
decide
and shove
her fate.
type of thing.
She faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted.
That's
The
not gonna
defendant
cause
and
it, though.
victim's daughter is on the stand. We're about to listen to the 911 call from that night. Let's go back into the courtroom.
Play exhibit number 1.
911 front board, where's everything? Hello, can you please come to 20 Maxwell Road? Maxwell Road? Yes. What's that? I think this is the system for that. Please come back to the phone. Okay, hang on, I want you to stay before, okay? Sarah, 40 minutes, what's for the message? I'm going to come right now. Sit there on the way, I want you to stay before me. What's your name? Stop! Why is it okay? I just want you to be confident, okay? Can you check and see if he's breathing? He's breathing. He's breathing. Breathing. Done. Okay? And just said paramedic 10, 40 medical gloves, and man down. You're okay. And just said paramedic 10, 50 medical gloves. Put it down. Just put it in the eyes. You're okay at the time. Okay. Okay. Still hope you're done. Is he not somewhere, okay? Okay. How old are you? I'm 17. Okay. Please just stay on something. Please just stay out there. Please. I understand. I'm the way. I promise, okay? I'm just saying. Okay. Okay, stay on the way. He is breathing, right? Is he talking to you? He's not breathing? Amy, come on, okay? I'm gonna help you. Okay? Your mom knows what CPR?
No, manslaughter.
Ms. Savitz, is that your voice on that recording that we just heard?
Yes.
And is that the call that you made on January 28th of 2020?
Yes.
And when you were making that call, where were you standing?
In the front hallway.
And where was your dad when you were making that call?
On the floor.
Oh, look, cherries.
Was he close to the stairs?
Yes.
Who'd have thought?
Now, Ms. Savitz, I'm going to show you some photographs. Pointer.
Well, okay. That's the end of that one then. All right, where's my playlist? Okay, day 2.
I ordered the, just want to tell you why. I ordered the FDR tape because as I started writing down the statements, my notes were not as clear as I am with you, so I did not want to see this up there. So I hope to be able to, it hasn't been approved yet, but hopefully I'll get that today, and I'll be able to work on it. Second thing, I don't want to interrupt you, but the second thing. There was a violation of sequestration on my expert.
They're yummy.
She, and it's my fault. I sent her a text on Monday, and the text says, you are released from the sequestration order and you watch that to give your testimony. She interpreted that to mean she could watch the trial. That is basically what she has been experiencing in other trials. So she watched approximately.
That help?
Ms. Savitz. I need to report that to the court. That's a not to report because it's a violation of the law.
What is the couple?
I can start with my opinion. The notice of expert that we've received, we haven't received a report or anything like that. I don't think that we're viewing this Savitz's testimony would change or one way or the other what we anticipate that expert would testify to. So I appreciate the candor of Mr. Tipton.
Is that volume better now, Tricia?
So it was not our sequestration motion to begin with. This was an agreement that we would allow the experts to watch each other. So I'm not particularly concerned, but I'll certainly in terms of whatever.
The only thing is that I would, the Commonwealth would preclude any reference to anything that was seen.
Sure. How about
In her
can you just ask if there's anything
Better?
that she saw that has any impact on her testimony at all? And if it does, to put it in writing for the Commonwealth.
I will do that again, when I received a text from her saying, nothing she said changed my opinion. And I'll require Linda to be clear, but yes.
All right, so you got that statement, and I'm sure Mr. Tipton would want to question her about what she saw. Right, you have no intention. All right, if there's, so think about if there's anything else that you raise as a result.
Hung jury.
All right.
Hung jury or not guilty.
Ms. Larry, your next witness.
The Commonwealth calls Officer Daniel Yanez.
Sorry. Step forward. Stand over, face the front.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the evidence given to the court, the case down here, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Where's the hear ye? I've got it up on the other screen. I'm watching.
Good morning.
Morning.
Could you please state your name?
Daniel
Yanez.
Yanez,
And by whom are you employed?
town of Brookline.
Could you please spell your last name for me, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Y-A-N-E-Z.
Is Brooklyn near Massachusetts?
And what is your position with the town of Brookline?
I'm a patrol officer.
And how long have you been a patrol officer in the town of Brookline?
I bet
For
you it's to
23
do with
years.
car accident.
And as a patrol officer, what do your duties include?
My duties are to protect and serve within the rules and regulations and policies of the town of Brookline and the Brookline Police.
Were you working on January 28th of 2020?
Yes.
And what did your duties include on that day?
My duty on that evening, I was assigned to the 547 unit.
And what did you do on the 547 unit?
On that particular evening, I was dispatched to 40 Middlebrook Road for a domestic altercation.
And when you got there, what did you see?
Upon my arrival, as I was stepping out of the vehicle, a young lady was outside of the house, later identified as Susie. She ran towards me. She said that she needed help. She said her father was not breathing. I had asked her if there were any weapons. And then from that point, I went with her into the house.
And where in the house did you go?
As I stepped into the house, at the time when I stepped in, there was a person laying down on the hallway floor.
Oh, emailer.
As Andrew.
And what entrance of the house did you go into?
The front door. Sorry.
Not the back door.
And where was Andrew laying when you got in?
He was laying on his back, and then when I saw him, I went immediately towards him. At the time, I went onto the radio. I requested for a Fallon ambulance. And then
I'm sorry. In what condition was Andrew in?
It appeared like as if he was not breathing. And then when I started CPR, I noticed that he was gargling and slightly breathing. As I was checking for his pulse, he had a slight pulse. During that time, officers were coming into the house. I was passed an ambu bag, and as I was about to give him breath, he did breathe into the ambu bag. And then at that point, I realized he did have a slight pulse, and he was breathing. I placed him into the recovery position from that point.
Can you explain for the court what is an ambu bag?
An ambu bag is a device which assists in breathing. It's a breathing apparatus.
And did you place that on him?
Yes.
And after that, what did you do?
Okay. Shortly right after, Brookline Fire and Fallon paramedics showed up on scene, and they took over Andrew. And then from that point, I joined Sergeant Tian and Detective Avila in interviewing Miss McGee.
And where was Miss McGee when you interviewed her?
Upon entering the house, from what I recall, she was standing beside him.
And was she there when you were trying to assist him, Mr. Savitz with the ambu bag?
Well, upon entering, she was standing there. All I remember is just going towards Mr. Savitz. I believe she stepped off to the side into the living room area. And then I just had my full attention on Mr. Savitz from that point. I believe the officers who came in right after me, Sergeant Tian and Detective Avila, went towards her and started the process from there.
And at what point did you join Sergeant Tian and Detective Avila in speaking with Ms. McGee?
Shortly after, once Mr. Savitz was in the hands of Fallon Ambulance and the Brookline Fire paramedics.
And what did Ms. McGee say?
Okay. She said at approximately 22:45 hours, she had come to the house to discuss with Mr. Savitz an email that she had received. And then at a certain point, the conversation had turned into a verbal altercation where he started to yell at her to ask her to leave the house. At some point, she stated that he had pushed her several times, to a point once pushing her up against the wall in the living room area, and then another time pushing her towards the kitchen room area, towards the kitchen table, which knocked down some plates and some other things off the table. And then from there, as they were moving around in the area, he had pushed her up against the refrigerator. And then heading towards the hallway, towards the front door, he had at some point grabbed her by the hair and also was pushing her during all that time, asking her to leave the house. As after pushing her up against the refrigerator and pulling her hair and pushing her towards the hallway, is at that point where he had collapsed, and she stated that she started CPR on him.
And where were you when Ms. McGee was giving this statement to you?
We were in the living room area.
And you had mentioned that Ms. McGee indicated that some items had broken in the kitchen. Did you observe anything broken in the kitchen?
Yes.
What did you observe?
Plates, broken plates, and there was some cans, some perishables, foods thrown around.
Now, were there any other officers on scene when you were speaking with Ms. McGee?
Yes, during that time, officers Soderberg and Officer Russell, as they were entering, they went up to the second floor. The caller, the daughter, Susie and her son and her brother, Harry, were upstairs on the second floor. And during that time, they had gone upstairs to interview them. Also, during that the whole time, as we're going through the whole area, we asked everybody if anybody needed any medical attention. Everyone had refused any medical attention also during that time.
Did you ask Ms. McGee if she wanted medical attention?
Yes.
And what was her response?
She had refused.
Did you have an occasion to observe Ms. McGee when you were talking to her?
Yes.
Did you observe any injuries to Ms. McGee?
No, I didn't.
Now, where were officers Soderberg and Russell when they were speaking to the children?
They were upstairs on the second floor in their bedrooms, I believe.
And did you speak to the children?
I did not.
And did anybody take photographs?
Yes.
Who?
Sergeant Tian.
At some point, did somebody arrive to take the children?
Yes.
Who was that?
Patricia Burnson.
And where did Ms. McGee go?
Well, during all this time, she was in our presence in the house.
And what happened to, where did Mr. Savitz go?
He was placed in a Fallon ambulance, and then he was transported to the Beth Israel Hospital.
And at some point, did Ms. McGee go to the Brookline Police Station?
Yes.
And how did she get there?
I believe Detective Kelleher and Avila had transported her to the Brookline Police Station.
Brookline.
At any point, did you make any observations of anything outside the house?
Yes, we observed what we believe was
that a gun, Bev?
Mrs. McGee's vehicle, which was an Audi, black Audi vehicle.
And at some point, did somebody take photographs of that vehicle?
Yes, Sergeant Tian.
And did anybody else take photographs of that vehicle?
Not that I don't remember. Sorry.
Can you just tell me, officer, do you have any, what kind of training do you have, medical training as far as being a first responder?
Well, every year we're always, every year first aid, basic first aid, training every year. We have to do training every single year for the last 23 years.
And are you trained in CPR?
Yes.
Thank you, officer. I have no further questions.
Morning. So you wrote a 3-page report, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Do you have that report with you today?
Not with me.
Okay. Did you review it in advance of your testimony here today?
I did.
And when you reviewed it, you found it to be accurate as far as your memory that you recall, correct?
Yes, sir.
And have you prepared for this trial by speaking with the district attorneys in anticipation of trial?
Yes.
Okay. And have you gone over your statements in your report?
Yes.
Okay. But what I mean is, have you gone over the statements with the prosecutors in preparing for trial?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't find anything, nothing came up that seemed inconsistent within your report where you had to change anything, anything like that? Right?
No.
When you write these reports, officer, it's fair to say that you know that they're going to be reviewed by your supervisor, correct?
Yes.
So you make every effort to be as accurate and complete as you can be, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned that an Officer Russell was also present.
Correct.
And Soderbergh.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen any reports written by Officer Russell regarding this particular incident?
No.
Okay. And I do note that, tell me if I'm correct, that in your report, there is specific reference to the interview that was conducted upstairs of Miss Savitz, Suzy Savitz, and making note that Harry, her younger brother, was upstairs also, correct?
Correct.
And when you included that section in your report, is it fair to say that you got that information from talking specifically to Officer Russell, correct?
Yes.
And you tried to be as accurate as you could about what Officer Russell was telling you that Ms. Savitz had told him.
Yes.
And you relied on what Officer Russell told you, including what Suzy Savitz said to him in your report. You relied on what he was representing, correct?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that after you included that in your report, would it be fair to say that then your report was reviewed by a supervisor?
Yes.
And
I think he's very, very nervous. I don't think he's testified before.
As to what he had told you?
Not at that time, no.
Okay, but is it common practice of the Brookline Police Department that when you include
Brookline.
Specific statements made to you by your fellow officers and you're including them in the report, that those officers can look at your report and make sure that what you included is accurate?
Correct.
And that's just common procedure within the Brookline Police Department, correct?
Yes.
So you wrote your report that included that information. You wrote your report shortly after the incident, correct?
Within a few hours after.
Okay, and that's also Brookline Police Department procedure, correct?
Yes.
That you write the report and include details and facts close in time to try to ensure that they're accurate and complete, correct?
Correct.
And so it's fair to say, as you sit here today under oath, that what you put in your report that Suzy Savitz told Officer Russell and Soderbergh is accurate and complete.
Yes, sir.
And it's fair to say, isn't it, that nowhere in your report, and I'm going to focus you on just what Officer Russell and Soderbergh told you about what Suzy told them, that she never said anything that she first heard yelling and thought it was her dad yelling at her younger brother, Harry. She never told me. That's not what you were told by Russell or Soderbergh, correct?
That is not in the report.
Okay. And there's nothing in your report from officers Russell and Soderbergh that Suzy told them that she went down and went into the kitchen area while the argument was going on. No?
No.
And that when she was standing in the kitchen area, she saw her mother and father yelling and fighting. That's not in your report, obviously.
No, sir.
And that would indicate that they didn't tell you that because you're trying to be accurate and complete, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there's nothing in the report where Suzy tells those officers that her father seemed to be in distress while he was arguing. Nothing like that.
No, sir.
There was nothing in the report that Suzy had told those officers that she had talked to her brother, Harry, and told him to stay in the room and not come downstairs. Nothing like that, correct?
No, sir.
In fact, the statement that's included is that Harry was asleep in his room while this was going on.
Correct.
Your report also includes a statement that she said that she witnessed her mother slapping her father in the face and chest. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
But there's nothing in your report that indicates at any time that Suzy Savitz said anything that she saw her mother and father pushing and shoving. That's not in your report, is it?
Not from her point of view. Not from her statement.
Not from her statement, correct. And there's nothing in your report that says Suzy reported that her mother was slurring her words, is there?
No, sir.
Or that she was stumbling.
No, sir.
In fact, there's nothing in your report about what Suzy would have said that her mother refused initially to give CPR to her father after he collapsed.
No.
And that she said that her mother said he doesn't need CPR, correct?
Correct.
In fact, your understanding is that once Mr. Savitz collapsed, that Ms. McGee immediately began administering CPR.
That was her statement.
That was Suzy's statement, correct?
No, Mrs. McGee.
Okay, that was Ms. McGee's statement. Officer, it's fair to say that when you first arrived, and then other officers again continued to arrive, it was a pretty chaotic scene.
Yes.
And is it fair to say that when you respond to a scene like this, you have someone lying on the floor and you don't know if they're breathing or dying, people are, and forgive me, but people are kind of barking out orders and yelling and trying to get things done, correct? As they try to help whoever needs help, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's fair to say then that this interview you conducted of Ms. McGee, is it correct to say that it happened while all of this chaos was going on in the hallway?
No.
Okay, can you explain what happened?
From my part, where I intervened into the interview with Ms. McGee, with Sergeant Tian and Detective Avila once Brookline Fire and Fountain Ambulance paramedics took over Ms. body. Once they were good, I stepped away and then I turned my attention to Ms. McGee, who's far off into the living room area. And that's when we commenced with the interview process with Ms. McGee.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that. And it's fair to say that, I shouldn't have put it the way I did. The fact is that other first responders from both Brookline Fire Department and Fallon Hospital, they were still administering life-saving efforts to Mr. Savitz on the ground while you were talking, asking questions of Ms. McGee, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. McGee didn't resist talking to you, did she?
No.
And you were the one asking the, I withdraw the question. Were you the one asking the question?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that you were the one that was kind of controlling the question. You would ask a question, hear an answer, then ask the next question, right?
Well, collectively, myself with Sergeant Tian and with Detective Avila.
Okay, so is it our understanding then that not just yourself, but the other two officers were also asking Ms. McGee questions?
Yes.
So collectively, you all three were kind of controlling the questioning. You were in control. You were asking the questions, you'd get an answer, and then you would ask what question you thought needed to be asked next.
Correct. Correct.
And in no time did Ms. McGee tell you, stop, I don't want to answer any more of your questions, correct?
Correct.
And it's fair to say that when you were asking her questions, she was upset.
Yes.
She appeared very anxious.
Yes.
Okay. And when you told us, and when you say that she was in the living room, it's fair to say that that's really only maybe 12 to 15 feet away from the body where Mr. Savitz was lying in the hallway, correct?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us, officer, if Mr. Savitz's body, to the best of your memory, were his feet closer to the front door, or was his head closer to the front door?
Feet were closer to the front door.
And do you recall a stairway in that hallway?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall seeing a pair of glasses on the landing?
I do not.
Okay. And is it fair to say that, to the best of your memory, Mr. Savitz's body, as he lay in the hallway, he was very close to the front door?
Yes.
When you were asking this, you and your other officers, Avila and Tian, were asking Ms. McGee questions. There was no reason in your mind not to ask her questions, correct? I mean, she didn't look injured, correct?
Correct.
She was answering your questions cogently, correct?
Correct.
She didn't seem confused, did she?
No.
And she was, is it fair to say, to characterize it, that, you know, when you would ask her a question, she would respond coherently to what your question asked?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't have any reason to stop questioning and say, you know, maybe we should stop this because you don't seem okay to us. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but there was none of that going on. You simply asked the questions, as many as you wanted, and that was the end of it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall hearing Ms. McGee say something to the effect of, I want to go to the hospital with my ex-husband, or words to that effect?
I do not recall that.
And your testimony on that particular question isn't that she did not say that, you just don't recall it as you sit here today.
Correct.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Can you retract? Your Honor, you refresh.
Is that supposed to be like? Supposed to be white noise, is it? Oh, I can L. Why have they got a bench trial? There's no jury. Like, why have they got a sidebar? There's no jury. Oh, that noise would do my head in.
We observed there was a brown bag. There was Can I look over the report? Because
Is your memory exhausted as to what you saw inside of Ms. McGee's car?
Yes, sorry.
She's a bit.
Would looking at your report refresh your memory?
Yes.
Your Honor, may the witness refresh his memory.
Sure, obviously you didn't have this report. Do you have your report with you?
Not in hand.
I have a copy, yes.
Sorry.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Officer Yanez, if you could please take a look at your report and look up when you're done.
This is the same courtroom as the Reed trial too, isn't it? No movement in the other court yet.
Is your memory refreshed?
Yes.
Officer Yanez, what did you see inside of Ms. McGee's car?
There was a bottle of wine, and there was also 2 water bottles in the front dash, also with her cell phone with the charger on the passenger side.
And the cell phone and the charger, was that laying on top of anything?
I believe it was on the passenger side.
Okay. Thank you, officer.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Officer Yanez. You're all set.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth calls Trooper Ryan Hodgson.
You just told us where the evidence you give the court in case they haven't heard you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you.
Good morning. Could you please state your name?
Ryan Hodgson,
And by whom are you employed?
Massachusetts State Police,
And what is your position with the Massachusetts State Police?
Sergeant in Crime Scene Services.
And as a sergeant in crime scene services, what do your duties include?
I'm a supervisor for the Boston
Duty.
location, and we respond with and assist local, state, and federal agencies with the processing of crime scenes and the collection and processing of evidence for latent fingerprints and impression evidence.
At some point, were you working on January 28th of 2020?
Yes,
And were you called to respond at any point to 40 Meadowbrook Road in Brookline?
yes,
And what time were you called to respond there?
approximately 1 a.m.
And when you got there, what did you do?
I took digital photographs of a house and a vehicle.
A house and a vehicle?
Yes,
And with regards to the vehicle, did you learn whose vehicle that was?
yes, I did.
Whose vehicle was it?
Miss Penelope McGee,
And what kind of a vehicle was it?
an Audi convertible coupe.
And when you respond from crime scene services to document a scene, can you explain for the court what that means?
It means just taking photographs or digital video as requested by the agency that you're responding to assist.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Trooper, I'm handing you what's been pre-marked as for identification, exhibits A through K. Could you please take a look at those photos and look up when you're done? Do you recognize those photos?
Yes,
Are those the photos that you took at approximately 1 a.m. on January 29, 2020 in Brookline at 40 Meadowbrook Road?
yes.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth would move to introduce A through K for identification as the next exhibits.
All right, so I'm admitting them for the same purpose.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Separately. As identification, or they're going for identification first? Start this with me.
Give the court reporter a minute.
So it's 49 to 50.
Thank you. Ms. Crawford, could we please see number 85? Trooper, I'm showing you what's been now marked as exhibit number 49. Can you tell the court what's depicted in this photograph?
The vehicle that was parked in the front driveway that I took photos of.
And do you know approximately how far that vehicle was parked from the curb?
I don't have a foot number, if you're asking for that. It was just in the front driveway, right outside the front entrance of the house.
And could we see number 88, please? Trooper, we're now displaying exhibit number 50. Can you explain what we see in this photograph?
That is the same vehicle outside the front of the house.
And if you look at the door in this photograph, is that the front door or the side door of the home?
Front door.
Could we see number 91, please? Trooper, we're now showing you exhibit number 51. What do we see in this photograph?
The same vehicle.
Could we see number 92, please? Trooper, exhibit number 52, what do you see here?
On the interior of that vehicle.
And on the front, on the passenger seat of the vehicle, can you tell the court what you see there?
A blanket.
And the white object that's in the middle of the photograph, what is that?
Are you referencing a bottle? The bottle?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your answer.
Are you referencing the cord?
Yes, is that a?
Yes, it looks like a charging cord.
Charging cord. Could we see exhibit, or number 93, please, exhibit 53? Can you tell me what you see here, Trooper?
Yeah, the same cord, center console of the vehicle with two bottles in the cup holders.
We could see number 96, please. Exhibit 54. What do we see in this photograph, Trooper?
It's the rear seat behind the driver's seat, and two bags, one that's on the seat and one that's on the floor area behind the seat.
And there's a light brown object up on the top of the screen there in the middle. Can you tell the court what that is?
It's a paper bag that was on the floor behind the passenger seat.
If we could see exhibit number 98, please. I'm sorry, JPEG 98, exhibit number 55. Trooper, what do we see in this photograph?
That is that bag that was behind the driver's seat.
And what is the orange object that we see?
It appears to be a bottle of wine.
We could see JPEG number 99, please. Exhibit 56. Trooper, what do we see in this photograph?
You see that brown paper bag behind the passenger seat?
And what's contained within that brown paper bag?
A bottle of wine.
Do you know how many bottles of wine are in there?
Memory serves, I believe, 2, but I'm not positive on the number.
More than one?
I believe so, yes.
We could see number 100, please. Exhibit number 57. Trooper, what's depicted in this photograph?
That same bag with 2 bottles.
Exhibit 58, number 101, please. Trooper, what do we see in this photograph?
The black bag that was behind the driver's seat on the rear passenger seat.
And what is on top of that bag?
A clear plastic bottle.
And does there appear to be a top on the bottle?
No.
And number 102, please. Trooper, we're showing you exhibit number 59. What's depicted in this photograph?
It's the same bag and bottle.
Thank you, Trooper. I have no further questions.
Any questions?
I can see exhibit 40. Trooper, if you could look at the screen and reviewing exhibit number 49, the car. The car is parked. Can you describe how the car is parked?
It's parked with the nose of the car facing the house. Pulled in, not backed in.
In the driveway.
Correct.
And when you look at exhibit, if I could, exhibit number 59, which is 102. We see a black bag and a bottle, correct?
Yes.
And then if we could have exhibit 57, 101, I'm sorry, 58. number 101. And now, is that supposed to be the same bottle in the same black bag?
Yes,
But the bottle's in a different position.
correct,
So someone has moved or manipulated the bottle.
correct.
And would that someone be you?
It may have been, I don't remember if I did or not.
Okay. And so as is a common procedure, Trooper, that when you're photographing particular things at a crime scene like this movie, that you may in fact move objects?
Depends if we have to pull a seat forward to get a better view of something, et cetera. So we may manipulate things.
In any of these photographs that were just admitted into evidence, did you see anything depicting a cell phone?
Just the cord.
Just the cord,
Correct.
that white cord that you saw.
Yes.
Did you see anything in these photographs depicting car keys?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall, Trooper, if you, Trooper, specifically you, did you ask Miss McGee for her car keys when you went to take photographs of her car?
No, she was not there.
She was not there.
Correct.
And am I correct in saying that you were first told to go to the Meadowbrook, 40 Meadowbrook, and you did so, and you arrived there around 1 o'clock a.m.?
About 1:30.
About 1:30? And then you took some photographs, and then you were asked to go to Beth Israel to take other photographs?
Correct.
And then after that, you were asked to go back to Meadowbrook to photograph what was referred to as the execution of search.
Correct.
And that would be about 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m.?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Any follow-up to that? No, ma'am. All right, Trooper, thank you very much. You also.
Thank you.
And you can raise your next one. The Commonwealth calls Officer Russell.
Right this way.
Mr. Officer, I will say the court case I heard the truth, the whole thing, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I do. Thank you. Mr. Davis. Can you hold on for a second?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You are also related.
Good morning. Could you please state your name?
Officer Sean Russell with the Brookline Police Department.
And what is your position with the Brookline Police Department?
I work patrol
And how long have you worked for the Brookline Police Department?
since June of 2002.
And as a patrol officer, what do your duties include?
Basically, patrolling the streets, answering calls, servicing calls, helping people.
And were you working on January 20th of 2020?
I was.
And what was your shift that evening?
My original shift is midnights. I was working an overtime shift. I was in the Sector 9 vehicle.
So, and can you explain for the court, what is the Sector 9 vehicle?
Brookline basically breaks down each area to sectors. So you have Sector 1 through 9. 1 would be over near Commonwealth Avenue, and Sector 9 would be over near West Roxbury.
And at some point, did you receive a call to respond to 40 Meadowbrook Road in Brookline?
I did.
And what sector is Meadowbrook Road?
That is Sector 7.
But did you respond to 40 Meadowbrook Road,
I did.
even though you were assigned to the Sector 9 that night?
I did. It originally came in as a domestic dispute, and any type of domestic disputes, they send 2 or 3 vehicles.
So what time did you arrive at 40 Meadowbrook Road?
That call came in approximately at the end of the shift. I remember I was starting to head back towards the police station, which I would have had to driven right by that street. So it was approximately 11:05-ish.
And when you got there, what did you do?
Arrived on scene, went directly into the house.
And when you went into the house, what did you see?
When I first got to the front door, I really couldn't open the door. There was a body lying behind the door, so I could only open the door approximately a third of the way, maybe a little more. I had to squeeze into the house.
And was anybody with the body?
Yes, Officer Yanez was with the body.
Were there any other responders there when you got there?
When I got there, Officer Yanez was already on scene, and the wagon, which is also known as a 555 vehicle, Officer O'Connor and I believe Officer Burke were on scene.
And what did you do upon seeing the body on the floor and the other responders there with the body?
Originally, I would immediately help out with CPR, but Officer Yanez and I believe Officer Burke were already, there's already two officers working on CPR. So when I did enter the house, I kind of worked my way around the person on the floor, and I was walked up to a woman that was standing in the living room area.
And what was the woman doing?
She was kind of pacing. She looked like she was in shock, a little anxious.
And did she say anything?
At the time, like I said, she was a little in shock. She really wasn't very talkative at the beginning, but then she explained to me that that was her ex-husband, and she had come over to talk to him.
And where within the house were you when this was occurring?
We were in go to the front door to the right, the living room area.
And at any point, or did she say anything else?
She did state that she was, going to leave, but I assumed that she was going to want to go to the hospital with the gentleman. But I asked her, please have a seat first and wait with me.
Was anybody else there with you when that happened?
No, it was just me and her at the time.
And who was the individual that you were talking to?
Mrs. McGee.
Mrs. McGee.
Did you ask Ms. McGee
Yeah,
who
son
she
called
was?
Bobby.
And what did she say?
She said that was her ex-husband.
And did she tell you what had happened that night?
Well, the call originally came in as a domestic, and then, I heard them right before I got there that they were asking for paramedics, Fallon ambulance to speed it up. So I didn't know if it was called in originally by accident as a domestic. So I did ask her, I said, what was going on? And as I was talking to her, I could see the way the house is situated. You go into the right as a living room, but then you can if you poke around, you can see the kitchen. I did see a few things on the floor. So I kind of asked her what had happened.
And what did she say?
She had mentioned that she had come over there to speak with her husband about an email that she had seen that was from her ex-husband to his brother.
And did she explain anything else that happened after she got there?
She said that they started talking. She wasn't happy about the email because it said something about evicting her or asking her to move out of the apartment that he had owned, the brother owned. And then she said it started out as just a verbal discussion, and then it got a little heated.
And when you say it got a little heated, did she tell you what happened?
He had begun to ask her to leave, and from what she stated, he started pushing her towards the door, which was actually through the kitchen, towards the hallway.
And what happened next?
And
What did she say happened next?
Well, she stated that when he was pushing her kind of towards the door, he wanted her to leave, that some of the, because I asked her, you could see plates and some containers and stuff like that on the ground. She said that when he was pushing her out, those all got knocked over.
And did she tell you what ultimately happened to him?
She stated when they got to the hallway, which is directly in front of the front door, that he just collapsed.
Now, After Ms. McGee told you that, what did you do?
Well, at that point, we were she'd sat down, so she wasn't free to walk about the apartment, the house, because I didn't want her to touch anything. And then we kind of waited, Fallon ambulance was there. Then the paramedics came in. They got, I believe, Mr. Savitz. They got him breathing again, and they moved him out of the house.
And what did you do?
At that point, when they started, when Fallon and the paramedics all came in, I believe Sergeant Tian and Officer Inez came in to speak with Mrs. McGee. I briefly told Officer Inez what she had told me, and then I went upstairs to see who was upstairs.
And who did you see upstairs?
When I got upstairs, I was met by Officer Soderberg and Officer O'Connor, and I was also met by her daughter, I believe it's Suzy.
And anybody else?
When I kind of walked around a little bit upstairs, I noticed there was a young boy in the bedroom sitting on his bed.
Did you have any conversation with the boy?
No.
The boy.
Really. Suzy said he didn't see anything, so I didn't feel it was necessary to. He looked like he was a little scared, so I didn't want to make him nervous.
Did you speak to Zuzi?
I did.
What did Zuzi say?
She stated that her mother came over to talk to her father, like 20, 30 minutes prior. She could hear them arguing downstairs. She went downstairs.
I'm sorry, officer.
Okay.
Statements made by the statements.
Yeah. What are you saying?
May we approach?
Yes.
Oh, that noise. Oh, we're live now. Bugger.
So, Mr. Clerk, that is it for today. We will begin at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I expect that tomorrow will be a little bit a short day as well.
Only, just asked it, what's the mark? I never, you didn't have
Or just that statement. So, we're not going to move the document, the exhibit L, into evidence. It's my intention that our discussion at sidebar, one statement is now in evidence. Do you have it right there that you can read it in? Jim, or Mr. McGee will read in. The following statement is in evidence.
Just say, so Officer Russell stated that Penelope McGee said, I have to go to the hospital with him.
Stated that on January 29th in the morning, or 28th.
Yes, on January 28th of 2020.
All right, thank you very much.
Court, all rise, please. Will be recessed until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. So I'm guessing we're on a break. All right. Now, I am. Where is it? Let me go back. Mana. All right. Got that watching. Okay. No change to the Cochrane. Actually, it's probably about time we did that. Where is it? Where did I put it? That'll wake everyone up. Cochrane.
So, Mr. Cochrane of the Cochranes,
Cochrane.
of the Cochranes, Mr. Cochrane for the Cochranes, Mr. Cochrane,
Mr. Cochrane's.
Natalie Cochrane, Miss Cochrane, Mr. Cochrane.
That says Michael Cochran.
Page 2, it says Michael Cochrane.
It says Michael Cochran.
Michael Cochrane.
Tactical. Cochranes.
Michael Cochrane.
Cochrane Tacticals.
However, Mr. Cochrane.
And they're like they can't do anything. You're a cunt. That's plain simple. Just like that. Simple. Can't. You can't say that. Mm. Mm. Right, sorry. Okay, updated. Yeah. Now I was going to do I wait for them to come back? Hmm. This the Griffith case in Florida is it looks quite interesting apparently. Mm, he's messed up young man. So yeah, there's someone in Steve's chat like this kid shot his father in the chest and the head and called it self-defense. They initially charged him and then released him on bail with an ankle monitor. He was Baker acted at least once. He had threatened to unalive his mother at least on 2 occasions, and had then sought refuge with his grandmother, who happened to be away at the time, so he couldn't, because she was down at Florida Keys, so she wasn't available. So he was sent back to his mother, even though he had threatened to unalive her, and she apparently just, she's his mum. She just went, okay, yeah, he's my son. I'll look after him. And yeah, then it was apparently seen by witnesses outside of their house that he and the mother had this argument, and he apparently allegedly dragged her inside the house by the hair That's what the witness stated. And then within the hour, 911 was called, and she apparently fell on a knife. And there's a dipshit in Justices of Process's chat who's just saying that people are just so dumb. Like, what did he say? Kathy pregnant at 13. Is that the mother? So apparently he's this dickhead saying that that Colin was being harassed by his mother, and she was the one always starting the fights, and that he is the victim. Raised by abusive adults fighting over his custody, and he was the victim. And as soon as you say, "Can you show me where you got it from?" they just start back at you with bullshit. You can't just make statements without fucking receipts. You got to have receipts. And I asked nicely, "Can you just show me where you found that so I can have a read, please?" And he's like, "He called the authorities for help." Hello? I'm like, again, can you show me where that came from? I'd like to actually read that for myself so that I can be fully informed. Back off. And he'll come back with some fucking smart ass comment. Anywho, I'm certainly by no means. Why am I watching two verdict watchers here? I don't want two of them. I want. Where did day one go? I've lost it already. Oh no, day two. Sorry. There we go. Okay. They are still on a break. Welcome back. We're on a break. I was just saying that I'm sort of watching three different things. I'm watching Verdict Watch, I'm watching this one, and I'm also in Steve's chat because he's running the Griffith trial, the one in Florida, which I'll be running later on today. And there's a dickhead in there. Claiming that he was the abused child and is the victim here. Three sides to every story. Yeah, so he's saying that the parents were in a abusive relationship because they're fighting over his custody. He was the victim. That she harassed him. What's the mother's name? Is it Susan? No, Catherine. Okay, so Kathy apparently was pregnant at 13 with him. So Susan must be the grandmother. This is my first time hearing this case. I just want to send my prayers to the family. Yeah. Is Susan the... Oops. Well, it's all quiet on all fronts. All right. Well, now you're here. I will do... Whilst I was watching, I was just doing a little bit of a sticky nose around. And we all know how Jodie loves to...
Here we go again, my friends. The novelty that never ends. You know that I could not survive without doing a deep, deep dive.
Okay, so I'm going to try and explain the... Oh, that's not it. Is it? No, that's not it. Is it? Oh, yeah, it is. All right. I forgot to put those ones in. I'm going to try and explain the coronary artery occlusion and what that means. I don't know why I put all that shit in. Okay. There's your lovely little heart. All right. So, as you know, it's got the left-hand side and the right-hand side. The right-hand side brings the deoxygenated blood from the body. So it's been through the circulation. Your cells have absorbed all that lovely oxygen, and it comes back into the right side of the heart, which is the right atrium. And then it gets pumped into the right ventricle, which is the bottom chamber. And that then gets pumped up through the lungs and then comes in the left atrium, down into the left ventricle, and then back out to the body. So when it's blue, it's a vein, so it's deoxygenated. When it's red, it's an artery, which means it's got oxygen in it. All right. So it comes in the right with no oxygen, goes through the lungs, comes out the left with oxygen. All right. So if your right coronary artery gets blocked, which you can see to the bottom left-hand side of the screen there where it's red, that supplies the blood to the right-hand side of the heart. And I think it's pretty much directly in line between the two chambers. which causes two issues, and it depends again where in the vein or the artery, sorry, that it there we go, where it, oh, that doesn't really help either, does it? It blocks off because it affects that particular part of the heart. Now, anything past that blockage will be affected, because essentially the heart muscle is starved of oxygen and it dies, so it can't work. So if it's right down near the ventricle, that means that the muscle where it pumps the blood into the lungs, the muscle there doesn't work properly. So the what we call cardiac output, which is the output that is normal for a heart to turn over with your blood, isn't as high, and you get backflow because it's not pumping properly. Yeah. Now, he had 90% of that blocked. 90, not just a little bit. So he would have had symptoms. He would have had chest pains, shortness of intermittently, and it would have been brought on by stress as well, because one of the diagnoses for this is what's called a cardiac stress test, where they actually put you on a treadmill and stuff and see how you respond and how your blood pressure goes up and what your shortness of breath is. And generally, before you get to the 90%, you would have been seen by a cardiologist and hopefully be on a waiting list for surgery. Now, generally, they just go in now and put a stent in there, or they put a balloon in, and they basically inflate the balloon where the blockage is and open the back up again so the blood can flow through. And it's all done, via just a tiny little hole in the top of your chest, and they thread the wire through, or they go in through the groin. So whilst it's still surgery on your heart, it's minimally invasive. It's not like the old days. So it's easily treatable. And they do that. They generally put in like a dye as well, so they can see where they're going. Now, next one. So that's what you would see inside the artery if it was blocked. So you get up the build-up of this plaque, fatty tissue, basically, and it stops the blood, like it restricts the opening for which the blood goes through. That brings up your blood pressure, because obviously there's more pressure trying to push it through a smaller tube. So when you get that chest pain, it's because your heart is trying to work harder and push that through. And you get shortness of breath because you're not getting enough of that blood circulating through to the lungs and back out to the body. Okay, so obviously if you can't get it, if it's the pump that's pumping it to the lungs isn't working, that's going to affect your breathing. Plus, if you have a backflow of blood back into the right ventricle, you get what's called pooling, and you can then get blood clots. So he would have generally, I would have thought that he would have been on blood thinners for a start to prevent that if the doctors were aware. Men typically, and I've seen it a lot, so many of them coming into the ICU with a history of chest pain, radiating shoulder pain down their arms, shortness of breath, the whole lot, and never did anything about it because it went away. Never sought treatment, never had it investigated. And then I had this poor man one day, he was only in his 50s, and he had had a history of chest pain, and he'd been out mowing the lawns. It was a hot day, and his wife noticed that he'd been out there for a long, long time and went to check on him, and he was pretty much like he'd fallen onto his knees forward, and the lawnmower was still running, and his chin was sitting on the actual handles of the lawnmower. So she hadn't noticed that it had stopped or anything. She just thought he was still mowing the lawns, but he had collapsed and had a heart attack, and he'd been out there for who knows how long. And he'd come into the intensive care unit. They had him on a ventilator, and he was completely brain dead. Completely. He'd been out there for at least 15 minutes down, and nobody knew. So that poor man, he had no brain function. His brain stem was just, and because the family chose to have him intubated, he ended up being a vegetable in a nursing home. So it's not uncommon, particularly in men, to not treat this sort of shit. They don't do it. They don't go to the doctor. They don't like it. It's, yeah. So, oh, right. So this is another picture of just showing you how, the blockage can restrict the blood flow. It can be along the whole thing, or it can just be in sections of it as well. So it really depends on where the blockage is and what it starves, what part of the muscle gets starved of the oxygen, because then it effectively dies, and you can't replace that. You can't fix it. All right, so that's probably a better picture showing you how the blue parts are the bits that are coming in from the body and then up to the lungs, and the red parts are coming in from the lungs and out to the body. So deoxygenated, oxygenated. That's I think I put one in there that shows you where the right coronary artery. Come on. All right, so, oh, shit, yeah. This is basically the dye, all right? A picture of the dye that a radiologist will do, cardiologist will do, just to see how occluded the vessel is. Let me try and fix that picture. You can see the bottom of it. All right, now this is only 70%, so it's not even as bad as the 90% that the victim here had. Okay, so you can actually see on the left-hand side, sorry, it's 80%. See the white spot? They've injected the dye in, and that white spot is a blockage. All right, and that's 80%. Now this, Mr. McGee, had 90%. Okay, so then what they do is they put a graft in, which is sort of like it's like a slinky type of thing, but it's like a mesh wiring, and it opens up like a spring and then pushes the plaque out and opens up the vessel again. Or is that a bypass graft? Vessel after being treated with a stent. Okay, so the bypass graft is where they actually take another vein. It's generally from your leg or from behind your chest, and they take a segment of it and they sew from one side of the blockage to the other side of the blockage and create like another pathway for the blood to go through. That's what a bypass graft is. So this man was a ticking time bomb, especially if he didn't have any treatment for that. Whether he was on blood thinners, I don't know yet, but I'm waiting to see what the medical examiner has to say about that one. Yeah, the men are just for some reason, they hate going to the doctor. Hate it. All right, nothing on Verdict Watch. Still, what's happening over there? Just doing a little research, which I do prefer to not do, so I'm in the mindset of a juror. They decided not to charge whoever, hoping more evidence could come out of this trial. I don't like to do a little don't like to do any research. He says, all right, so sheriff judge should be sued for defamation of character and unprofessional behaviour in front of the media for calling Colin a psychopath, which made the media run with this false narrative. The fact that the sheriff and media exposed Colin as a psychopath can have a huge impact on the jury sentence. The authorities and professionals failed the teen miserably. Oh, we have a verdict in the Cochrane case. Apparently. I can't see it. Mm-hmm. Don't see anything. Line crime. Mm-hmm. Come on. Oh. Have a look on both. Mm-hmm. No, not Court TV. It's on Law and Crime. And I can't see any movement. I wonder if it's on Twitter. Let me have a look. If it's going to be anywhere, it'll come out on Twitter first. I'll find it now. How's that? We get on some Law and Crimes Twitter. Oh, okay. Yep, we have movement in the court. Switching. Okay, let me put take that off. Verdict reached in Natalie.
Third, Judge of the Circuit Court of Raleigh County is now sitting.
All right. I'm advised that the jury has a verdict. All parties are present and the defendant is here. I'll expect no outbursts when I read the verdict one way or another, and I will direct the bailiffs to escort anyone out who violates this directive. Are there any matters that we need to discuss before we bring in the jury and receive the verdict?
Please stay, Your Honor. Thank you. No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Bring in the jury.
We have a verdict, people. Where are you, Edhef? I might actually put it on Discord. Announcement at everyone. Verdict reached in Cochrane. Yes. Did you guys just get a message from Discord?
Madam Foreperson, has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes.
Would you hand that verdict to the bailiff who will transmit it to the court? Would the defendant please rise? In the case of State of West Virginia versus Natalie Page Cochran, case number 23-F-343K, the jury verdict is as follows. We, the jury on the issues, joined unanimously find the following. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree. The verdict form is signed by Holly Rich, foreperson of the jury. It is dated 1/29/2025. There are no marks on the portion of the verdict form pertaining to involuntary manslaughter. Does the state wish to examine the jury verdict form?
Very good. Thank you.
Does the defense?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
You may be seated.
What the actual?
Is there a request for the court to poll the jury?
Not from the state. No, Your Honor.
All right. The verdict is received by the court and directed to be recorded. I'll ask the state to prepare an appropriate order in the premises. The court accepts the jury verdict and finds this defendant guilty of murder in the first degree. The defense will be afforded time to file all appropriate motions. And as we discussed earlier, we must have further proceedings concerning the aspect of mercy. I would like to do that right away and perhaps to commence this afternoon. I can afford the defense or the state 2 hours to prepare, and we can go directly into the mercy phase.
Your Honor, as we pointed out to the court, we cannot have our witnesses prepared in 2 hours. Specifically, we anticipate calling the children. They are not close by at all. They're in school.
Oh,
Matthew? No. What? I can hear you.
I've been corrected on that particular point, but we have to get in touch with our other witnesses. It will take considerable time to do that. We have to make sure they can get here, and we respectfully request to continue these proceedings and have the mercy portion sometime tomorrow.
What saith the state? Mr.
what
Truman?
saith the state? It is fucked up.
Your
I
Honor,
think
the
we should
state's
go
prepared
for
to move
ineffective
forward.
counsel.
We understand the defense situation. If they could proffer a number of witnesses they're going to have, that might be helpful. And if they can't start out today, then we defer to the court's judgment.
All right. Members of the jury, let me explain to you the circumstances. You have found
I'm just going to
the
switch across.
defendant guilty of murder. The defendant guilty of murder in the first degree. There is another aspect that you must consider, and that is whether or not to afford to her mercy. If she receives mercy, she will be eligible for parole in 15 years. If she does not receive mercy, she will spend the rest of her life in prison. And that is a decision that you must determine. We must have a mini trial, so to speak, further proceedings for you to hear additional evidence in that regard and make a determination. You will have to return in.
What the fuck? Where'd you go, Steve? He just dropped out. Oh no. Let me refresh it. Steve! You're dropping the ball. I'll come back to that. We'll watch the other one.
You to be cooperative and patient and considerate and proceed as you have already. You have been here promptly and you have provided service as jurors in the manner expected and the manner certainly I request. So here's the deal. I must still warn you and admonish you not to read anything, hear anything, talk to anyone about this case. And by anyone, I'm talking about your family members or friends, because tomorrow is another day insofar as you all are concerned. And we will proceed further in regard to the mercy phase of this case. So you're not done, and we need for you to come back. And you may be sad about that, or maybe you're okay with that. I don't see anybody throwing tomatoes at me yet. So hopefully you'll understand. We need to finish this out. We have much time invested in it, and we simply need to bring it to a conclusion. And I will need you back in your jury room at 9 a.m. I'll try to have a treat for you as
really? You're gonna fucking
for you to come back. And please
good
follow
doggies.
my
Here you
instructions.
go.
Don't watch anything on TV or see anything online. Again, for the purpose of this additional phase, I want you to have an open mind.
This is the Law and Crime feed.
Hear the evidence
It was
so
Steve
you
Feeds
can make this
Steve Speed that dropped out.
determination.
Oh, he's coming back.
I can't tell you anything as to what you must do in regard to
I just want to hear
mercy,
his
but if you have any questions about the procedure or if
thoughts
you
on
want
it.
to curse me, now would be the time to do that. I don't see any curses and I don't see anybody complaining.
I think so too, Tricia.
All right. I will need you back in your jury room tomorrow by 9. Anything further before I let the jury go for the day from the state?
Not for the state, Your Honor.
From the
No, Your
defense.
Honor, thank you.
All right, you may follow the bailiff to your jury room, and I'll see you in the morning at 9
Mercy phase. I don't understand how that works. So
start up at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I hope you'll understand, and I hope that you will continue to be cooperative and
No,
patient
definitely.
and considerate.
Definitely not.
And proceed as you have already. You have been here promptly, and you have provided service as jurors in the manner expected, in the manner certainly I request.
I don't get it.
So here's the deal. I must still warn you and admonish you not to read anything,
bugger.
hear anything, talk to anyone about this case. And by anyone, I'm talking about your family members or friends, because tomorrow is another day insofar as you all are concerned. And we will proceed further in regard to the mercy phase of this case. So you're not done, and we need for you to come back. And you may be sad about that, or maybe you're okay with that. I don't see anybody throwing tomatoes at me yet. So hopefully you'll understand. We need to finish this out. We have much time invested in it, and we simply need to bring it to a conclusion. And I will need you back in your jury room at 9 a.m. I'll try to have a treat for you as a bribe for you to come back. And please follow my instructions. Don't watch anything on TV or see anything online. Again, for the purpose of this additional phase, I want you to have an open mind and to hear the evidence so you can make this additional determination. I can't tell you anything as to what you must do in regard to mercy, but if you have any questions about the procedure, or if you want to curse me, now would be the time to do that. I don't see any curses, and I don't see anybody complaining too much. All right, I will need you back in your jury room tomorrow by 9. Anything further before I let the jury go for the day from the state?
Not for the state, Your Honor.
From the
No, Your
defense.
Honor, thank you.
All right, you may follow the bailiff to your jury room, and I'll see you in the morning at 9 a.m. All right, we will start up for the mercy portion of this case in the morning at 9 o'clock. The defense will go forward first, sort of an unusual arrangement. There is no burden of proof. And it's sort of the wild, wild west, more or less. The court will be very lenient in terms of evidence to be presented. The only thing that I'm bound by is rules 401 and 403 of the rules of evidence. 401, of course, relates to relevancy. 403 requires the court to engage in the balancing to make sure that the probative value of any evidence is not outweighed by its prejudicial nature. Other than those restraints, the court can consider prior bad acts. The court can consider character. The court consider habits, almost anything that would be relevant and not unduly prejudicial to the defendant. So you are guided by that instruction, and we will start up for the mini trial in the morning at 9 a.m. Are there any questions or suggestions from the state?
Not from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, court is in recess.
Wow. Just wow. Is he not going to comment? Oh, come on.
Man, it's time to break free. Eyes wide open, gotta see what I see. Standing on the front lines, fighting for the truth.
Oh my God.
Lift the veil of lies, it's time to be the proof. Take
Can you see the comments section? Come on, Steve, are you going to say something? Did you? Ah. Are you going to talk about it, or we're watching? We're waiting for you. They mustn't have just closed it down, so I would have thought that he would at least. He was sitting there before, like. Steve. I have no idea, Christine. I don't know. I am speechless. No one can answer that but the jury. That's right. I thought Steve would have got up and said something, like he was on there before. But, oh, here we go. Having technical issues with EV Max. Bugger. Had to end all the streams. Bugger. Do you want a duel? 1, 2, duel. Stream. He's had to close all his streams down. He runs so many at one time. He has, I think he can run with EV Max. I think he can run 2 streams at the one time on the one server, like be it Chrome, but then he hits onto another email address on his iPad and runs the third one on Safari. He's very clever. I can't do that. I have to run one at a time. Oh. I'm watching myself. Why am I doing that? I've gone to go in to look for the feed and I've clicked into my own. All right. So, Right, share screen. Where is it? There. Okay. So there's nothing happening. Live. New England. All right, nothing happening there. Why does it do that? It keeps making me 2 and not 1. Stop it. Stop it. Keep trying to adjust this screen to get the best size picture. And I'm not blocking half of it. Okay. Well, that's I I don't even know what to say. I just don't. No idea. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to. Where's my channel? I clipped the verdict, so I need to put that up. My videos. I don't like it. Okay. Now, where do I put that? Oh, Discord, that's right. Can I paste it in there? Oh, I can. Woohoo! There we go. Far out. Just far out. Suppose I should put something. Look, you're watching. Oh no, you can't see what I'm doing. I thought you would be able to. I thought you might be able to see what goes on behind the scenes to get that up and on. Done. Okay. We have a verdict video. Look, how good am I? I don't get it. So sad. And what's this mercy thing tomorrow? I don't understand. Actually, Steve might be able to help me with that. Let's see, shall we? What is The Mercy hearing. I've never heard of that. Has anyone else heard of that before? Oops. Maybe I should Google it. That might help us. Certainly not going to hurt, is it? Mercy phase of trial. Oh, no G in trial, Jody. Let's see what they come up with. Okay. Okay, Supreme Court of Appeals, West Virginia. This is a 2015 case. It's a criminal appeal. The petitioner here and defendant below challenges their conviction by the jury. Can you see that? I can't embiggen it either, sorry. Of murder in the first degree and her sentence of life without mercy. They can either allege jury misconduct or application of erogenous evidentiary standard for admission of autopsy and crime scene photographs during mercy phase, or improper reading to jury of the West Virginia statute. They can claim a flawed use of the theme of atonement in the closing arguments. They can use unsupported statements made by the prosecutor during closing arguments. They can use wrongful admissions into evidence of a summary chart. They can use insufficient evidence to support the verdict. They can use a cumulative error. And upon review of that and the oral argument and relevant law, then the judge rules on whether it's proper evidentiary standard or not, due to the nature of the crime. If deemed gruesome, the probative value of the evidence is greater at the mercy phase of a bifurcated trial than at the guilt phase of such trial. What the hell does that mean? Where's Udahef when you want him? I know, I'll DM him. Because I can. At Udahef. Need your opinion. Not opinion. Opinion on Cochrane verdict on stream. I really like this. Oh, look, Teresa sent me a message. Ah! I'm just getting it now. Oh. Oh dear, yeah. It's yes. It was one of those things. It was a friend's son, who I knew, not very well, but I knew, who needed a place to stay for a short period, which turned into a long period. And I'm just far too generous. So yes, it kind of, I thought, well, it's oh, I thought I was watching my own stream then. I thought, well, because my income is so limited being on the pension, it would be a little bit extra. So yeah, it did help. But yeah, not lately. And it's going to take me a bit to clean up. Did they say how long that they were going to be on break for? Oh, I'm going to. I keep trying to. I keep missing the I'm here. I keep missing the admin as the gavel drops. They're trying to invite me, but their link only lasts a certain amount of time, and I keep missing it. She drops me the link, and then it expires. I go back, obviously, because they drop it when I'm asleep. And oh, I better put that at Toxic Orchard. I'm back. I love it as the gavel drops. They're just amazing. The stuff that they've got on there. Well, you can all join me over on Discord if you want to. Whilst we're waiting. We'll have a game of. I'll have a game of. Oh, 4 new messages. Oh, that's me. I love how it just automatically does that. Eleven new mentions. Who's mentioning me? Oh, that would be. Ha! Oh, I wonder if I can have a. I'm sure. There we go. Who wants a voice chat? Pick a topic to start the conversation. Okay, let's have a chat about the Cochrane verdict. Now, you guys should be able to, once I click this, you should be able to just click on the phone link, and it should connect you to have a voice chat with me. Did that come up? So I'm over in Discord, and down the bottom under the social section is a voice chat with me. You have a mouthful of spaghetti and garlic rolls. Oh, you're nasty. Now you're making me hungry. And this is all done through the internet, so there is no charge. There you go. Look, there's me. So when you go in, see how it says voice connected? You hit that little, I think, to join, I think. What does this button do? Oh, I'll invite. Whew, whew. How do I? Oh, look. Really? I don't know if I can share my camera at 2 places at once. I'd probably not. No. What's that little button there? Show what? Allow requests from everyone. Yes. Requests to speak will show up here. How do I invite from here? Show chat. Okay, so you can have chat as well. This is cool. Now, can I invite people from here? No. Join me in a voice call to discuss verdict. Let's see if that works. Yeah, I've DM'd Udhef. That's the only way I know how to get hold of him. I don't have his email address. I've started a live voice chat on Discord and sent you an invite if you want to chat about the verdict. Live. Ta-da! Oh, Jamie's playing with buttons on disc. Yes. I've just created a voice chat on Discord. So if you want to, you can click on it and chat with me. If you can get into Discord, you can talk. Don't know where change my came from. What? What? Speaking English, woman. Speaking English. What if I send you an at Tricia? Yeah, there we go. That will bring you to the room. And at Udahav and at Elizabeth. String bean. There we go. I don't know how this works, so I'm testing it live now. So I have no idea if you've got that message, that invite or not. Oh, there's one. Okay, so do I just click on you? Hello, can you hear me? How do I turn your volume up? Does it have anywhere on your side where it says request to speak? Okay, invite to speak. There you go. You might have to click on that one. Are you talking? Oh, there she is. Hello. Oh, I can. Yay! It works. It works. So am I. I have no idea how this shit works. Okay, Edith Hef's reading. He's just listening to the verdict. I've just started a voice chat in Discord that I've sent you a link to, Edith Hef. I don't know if anyone else can hear us though. Elizabeth, can you hear us? Can you hear Teresa talking? I can hear you, but I don't know. No, you can't. There's nothing like, I mean, you saw what I was playing around with it yesterday. Could you hear me talking to the guys yesterday on Discord? Okay. All right. So Elizabeth can't hear us. How do I? Was connected. What if I? Yeah, I can hear you. So it must be a Discord thing. Not. How do I? This is actually good practice so that I know. Or I can try and find out what to do. Voice chat. Okay, so can I? Doesn't give me anything to like add your. All right, what if I right mouse click into you? User volume. Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, no. Did you see I managed to get the my YouTube and Discord connected so that every time I put a stream up, it would automatically come into the Defence Rests live stream channel on here. And then I created the one for the podcast, and then I created one for Tanya's channel, and then I created one for Tandem Tuesdays, which is the dual stream. The only issue was that 3 of those are running on my one YouTube channel, and I had to try and find out how to differentiate them so that it wasn't picking up. Basically, everything I posted would go into all 4 of them. I couldn't separate them. So the reason the guys rang me on Discord last night was because they said, Jody, I woke up this morning and I had 32 pings from you overnight. I'm like, sorry, I was busy. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they've fixed all that, I think. I don't know. I haven't heard from them again. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I know what I can do. I can change my sound from my headphones to my speaker, and then she should be able to pick you up from my microphone. How's that? I'm so fucking clever. Okay. All right, talk now. Tricia? Yeah. Talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Elizabeth, can you hear Tricia now? Let me I'll bring the speaker closer. And turn her up a bit. I'm turning you up a bit. Plus. All right, talk.
Who talk?
You.
Oh, I'm talking.
Yep. Can you hear that, Elizabeth?
Yep.
So I've got your audio running through a speaker, not my headphones. I've diverted it.
Is it showing Elizabeth's connected?
I'm just waiting for Elizabeth to get. You can barely hear it. Okay. I'll turn the volume up a bit more. Okay, keep talking, Chi. Go again.
I'm trying to hear Elizabeth's not here nothing.
Not going up. The volume. Oh, that's max. All right. Testing. Go again.
Are you there, Elizabeth?
Whoa, yep, that works.
Oh, my. That's an echo, Jody.
Yeah, hang on. I'm turning it down. Well, it's all a learning curve, isn't it? It's still loud. What have I done? Yeah, loud and clear. Oh dear. Now I did send a request to. Edith. I'm sure I did. But
He must be in a meeting or something.
ooh. What was that? Yeah, oh yeah, he had a meeting. But he's in chat now on YouTube, and he's just listening to the verdict.
Oh.
But I thought I did send him it. I'm sure I did. Invite. I'll send him another one.
Still don't see how they found her guilty. There was nothing proved.
Oh, did you see my face?
Now that's 3 or 4 in a row now. The Ferris, the Black Swan.
Yep.
I think
She did another hearing recently. I think only a few days ago. What Ashley did, but I'm not sure what it was for. Did you see that or not?
I just seen bits and pieces of it. It's hard for me to cover 2 or 3 trials. And
I know.
You know,
My brain goes. Bleh.
And of course, I'm nosing in somebody's chat and laughing my ass off in it.
What was that?
Christine can't hear us, right?
Yes, she can. If she's on my YouTube, which I don't think she is at the moment, but if she watches the replay, yes.
Oh, I'll explain later.
Now, all right. Can you still see your screen on YouTube? Like, can you see me talking with us on it? With our avatars?
No, and I don't know how to go there. I'm afraid.
Okay.
All I see is, I don't even know where the hell I'm at. It says join stage, and I can see where God and Laura has been talking. So where the hell am I at?
I have no
What do
idea.
I push?
No idea. So you can't see my avatar and your yellow avatar on the screen in Discord.
I see that it says live now, and it's got me and you on there.
Yeah.
And it says join, and it says join stage.
Oh, I think
it's
that's
all on the left-hand side.
I think that's if you want to add your video. But you're already on the stage, so don't worry. But on the left-hand side, can you see where I'm going? All right, so that's the menu.
See, I see something with a little 4 next to it. It's a cat. I don't know if that's 4 people you're trying to invite in or what that means.
Probably, yeah, because I'm the cat.
Yeah.
So, what was I looking for? I forgot what I was doing. If you wanted to see VIP chat, there's only a couple of people allowed in there, and the person you said isn't one of them, so you can have a private chat there.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I see VIP chat.
Yep.
So do I push that or something?
Yeah, you can click onto that and then type a message into there, and I will get it. Well, there's only you, me, Mandy, Udahef, and Elizabeth, I think, in there. That's it. It's all that I've permitted.
The last thing I see in this is where Udahef said it looks fantastic.
Yep.
God, Emily,
That's
you guys are
correct.
amazing.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct. All right. Now, how do I get back to this one? Otherwise, your message is going to come up and everyone's going to see it.
Well, I don't care who sees it except one if I want to get
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to get back to. There we go. Okay. No one else will see it but me.
You mean I have to type it?
Sorry. Actually,
No, you're so wrong.
there is a talk to text feature in there. I have to click it on. Actually, you might have permission to do that. It might give you the option. Because I've put you in as an admin. But don't ask me how to do it.
What do I put?
I know I've allowed permissions, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm going to get on here and I'm going to tell the world my story, and I just do not do that.
No, you won't. Because there's only, as I said, you have to be authorized to be able to access that. So if anyone else that's not, I haven't actually permitted, they either won't see it or they'll be denied access. Only if you've been authorized can you actually click into that chat.
So what am I looking for just for you to hear?
If you type anything into that chat and just press enter like we do a DM, well, you can do that as well because no one else sees
Where
it.
am I at right now?
It's directly to me. So
Udahef,
if you want
Udahef is typed, it looks fantastic. Is this gonna come straight to you?
The VIP one will share between
Yeah, that's where,
Elizabeth, you, me, and Mandy and Uda Hef. If you want to send it just to me, go back
Okay.
up to the direct message on the top left-hand corner and just
see
send.
right here where it says VIP chat, and there's a place that you can type with
Yes.
a little microphone too. So if
Yeah.
I set it there, can she still hear?
No. But if you've got the microphone, that will be the talk to text option.
Okay, let me try something here. See if you can hear me. I mean, it'll be a. Let me just try this. So I was on Christine's channel.
I can hear you. Now, did that come up as text? Oh, it did. It came up as a voice.
Did it?
Yes, it came up as a voice text.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll play it.
So.
Yeah.
All right. It said so or something.
Yeah. Okay. So now that message will be able to be seen by the 5 of us in that room. If you just wanted to send it to me, you go back up to the top left-hand corner and direct message like you normally send me a message on here. Yeah. Where we send all our funny gifts.
I'm looking.
Look at that one. Drugs are bad, okay? There's some funny gifts out there, I tell you.
Oh, what's it? It's not doing that. Oh, I thought it was in also.
It's a pig with a G-string on.
Okay, let me. No, it's not responding. Okay, let me try this on your cat and say something this microphone and see if you get it.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, but so can everyone else. All right, so you've just
Damn.
Because you're doing it through the voice and I've got you through the speaker. That's why. If you typed it in there.
I'll just tell you later when we're done with this.
Okay.
But I don't want to. Okay, I'm not going to hurt my feelings, but damn. I just had a laugh.
Hang on 1 second. I'll switch it. I'll switch it back. All right, talk now.
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay. Yeah, you should be back in my ears now. Yep. No one can hear you now. You're in my ears. No, they can't. Yes. Yes. Talking amongst themselves, yeah. No, it's just yeah. Oh. Oh no. They're just taking the piss. Oh, you filthy fuck. He said he was investigating you. Did you remember his name? Really? What did Christine say? Is it Lacey? Never heard of him. Okay. Yep. Oh, Miss Banty's just gone live. No, she does. No, she does all body cam stuff. All right. I suppose we should get back to our trial, shouldn't we? Well, yeah. Yep. So you just hang up. See the hang up button, the phone thing. Okay, bye. I've ended the call anyway, so all right, we're coming back. Coming back. I'm hungry now. Thanks, Tricia. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. We can have movie nights and all sorts of stuff. I'm trying to. This is mainly like the Discord thing is mainly so that like when we're doing verdict watches and or we're having lunch breaks and stuff, we can come in here and play games with each other. Okay, get rid of that. Now, why is that still? Oh, come on, tell me it's. Has that ended or is it like on a break? Because I'm confused now. Surely we should have had some more action from. All right, I'll go back to start and have a look. They might have started another one for after lunch. Yeah, they finished it. Are you for real? Oh, come on. They're not done for the day, are they? The fuck? Surely not. Come on, Law and Crime, pick up your fucking act. Really? No, this is for the new trial, the bench trial in Massachusetts. They ended the last stream and there isn't another one. Was it running on here as well? He just ends it and let me see if Steve is streaming it and I'll stream off his. And that'll be the one trial that he's not. No. He's doing the Griffith one, the ASAP. Oh, look. And who's that clever person? Oh, you can't see what I'm seeing. Hang on. I'll share the screen, shall I? Because Jodie's an idiot. So this is the. I was supposed to go listen to the verdict, but I just enjoyed listening. It's learning by trial. Don't know until you try. Yeah, I'm not starting another trial. I've got 2 going. I may as well just start the Griffith one early. If they've stopped this trial, unless anyone else can find it anywhere else, I have no idea what is happening with. It went for 2 hours and that's it. They didn't say, no, we're going to have a break. Nothing. So, yeah, day 2. Streamed 1 hour ago. That's it. Let me try up here. It's Florida, isn't it? No, Massachusetts, sorry. MA v. McGee. Full trailer. Okay, trial. Okay, so I've got that one. Yeah, we've done that one. Yeah, we've done the opening statements. A hairy hand. Right. Man went to the doctor to remove a scar from his hand. The doctor agreed to perform a skin. Oh, come on. The doctor agreed to perform a skin graft and promised the man that the procedure would result in 100% perfect hand. The doctor grafted skin from the man's chest to his palm. The operation failed and produced a hairy, unusable hand. The trial court awarded damages for the man's pain and suffering. Okay. The hairy hand. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, I shall end this one. and I have us redirected to the new one, to the Griffith. How clever am I? All right. I'll see you over there in a bit. Bye.
Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule and the defense rests.